Hey everyone! I thought I would make a video on how to keep your sanity living in an RV, especially on days where you can't always get out with the family because the weather's not good, or you have a sick kid or something like that. So a lot of people always ask us how we can, not just snap on each other from being on top of each other all the time. My husband and I don't have our own space because we live in the living room and we just have a one-bedroom RV, which the boys have, and they actually don't have a door on their bedroom. But our husband and I have grown a lot in our marriage over the last 13 years. So we've definitely evolved and grown and become educated on how to keep each other happy and keep ourselves happy. So one of those things is, especially living in the RV, we have to let each other have our own space, because if we don't, then no one's going to be happy, because one of the parents is upset or cranky or snippy, and we don't like that. So my husband and I both just respect the fact that we need our own space. So like right now, my husband's watching the boys in the RV while I go take a walk, and I've read a little bit and I've prayed, and I'm just getting refueled, I guess you could say, and reminding myself how awesome this is, because I was a little bit on edge this morning because I was doing our taxes, and starting our taxes. I wasn't completing it, I just wanted to start it, and it was getting really frustrating because I didn't have all the paperwork from last year, and it's on our old laptop, which I couldn't get into because there's something wrong with it, because I saved all our paperwork online, and it was really frustrating. So my husband had taken the kids out so that I could do the taxes or start the taxes, and I was just getting frustrated at myself for not being able to hack into my own computer to get my paperwork. Anyways, he came back, and then I was just like, I need to go for a walk, and he's like, cool, go ahead, and it's having that type of attitude that's really gonna help you in the long run if you're living in such a small space like that and you have kids. You really need to respect one another. Even if you have kids, sometimes they really just need to chill out on their own. Our kids are pretty young, and all they want all the time is mommy and daddy. All they want to do is just hang out with us, and they want to know what we're doing, and that's cool. But I know as they grow and as they get older that it won't be like that. So embracing this time now when they're young is definitely part of the reason why we're doing this, because we know they won't always need us, and they're gonna grow up really fast, and that's gonna suck. So we're gonna cherish this time that we have with them. But if you have grown kids, like teenagers, they're not really grown, but teenagers, they're probably gonna want their own space too. So if you're thinking about doing this lifestyle, just remember that if you want a happy RV household, then you're gonna have to respect each other and give each other space. And I do know that there's one family who has 2 teenagers that they travel with, and they're like 14 and 16, and what they do, because they don't have their own room, is they carry around tents for them. So they have tents that they set outside of the RV, and they run an extension cord so they can get on their iPad or whatever gadgets kids these days play on, and have their own space and not feel so cramped, and they can express themselves however they want in their own space. So that's a good idea for any of you who have teenagers. I know that if we had older boys like that, that is definitely an option that we would do. So, but you know, sometimes like I'm dealing with being a stay-at-home mom constantly and not having any support system really, as in friends and family really close by that I can just be like, hey, can you watch the boys so I can go out because Derek's at work. It, you know, it's not like that here. Here, Derek is my only release from the kids so that I can go out and just take a walk or something. So I also have to respect that, you know, my husband, he does work here, and although it's not a terribly hard job and we do get to see him all the time even though he's working, I have to really respect that when he does come home from work, sometimes he really is tired, and I have to be able to let him have his own space so that he can unwind and totally cut off from work so that he can get into family mode. So I know that when he had his old job, sometimes he would just have bad days at work and he would take that home with him. So we just made this little plan that when he got home from work, he would automatically get his alone time, and he would greet the kids, he would greet me, and then he would just go into his own space and read and relax and unwind and cut himself off from work so that he can be a better dad and a better husband. And that worked out great for us, and it's kind of just what we do here too, except for, you know, we don't have anyone else to call on. But on my walk today, I was just reminded at how awesome of a life that we have right now. You know, that's why it's really important for you guys to have your own space and get out from the RV and just to take some time to remind yourself how awesome life is. You know, we only get one of them, so let's do it right and let's make the most of it. So I have two really, really awesome kids. I have a roof over my head and a really awesome truck to pull it with that no one can take away from me because they're paid. And I have an awesome husband who tries really hard to please me, even though sometimes I just don't even know what I want. He does amazing things for me, and I love him for that, and I love him for being a really good dad. And, you know, we're not living on the streets and we're not unhappy, and life is good. God is good. So it's just a good reminder to get out from the RV and really take a look at your situation and remind yourself how good you have it, especially compared to a lot of other people. I know that there are a lot of people who would love to just have something, you know, own something, an RV or anything, and have a roof over their head. You know, when I was a kid, my mom had a rough life and wasn't raised properly. Sorry for any of my family members seeing this. She wasn't raised properly, and neither were any of my uncles, and a lot of them still just don't know how to live on their own. So you know, my mom had a really rough patch when I was little, and we ended up living in a car for a couple of years, and it was a really sad time. I remember thinking that I wish that I had my own room again instead of sleeping in the back seat of the car with my big brother, and it just sucked a lot. You know, I was really too young to understand the full scope of things, but looking back on it now, it was horrible. And you know, especially for my big brother, who's 6 years older than me, so he had to deal with a lot more than I did, because he had to take on the whole like dad role really, really young, at like 8 or 9 years old. So you know, I'm glad that my kids don't ever have to deal with that. My kids will never have to live in a vehicle, and my kids will never be taught the things that I was taught because of lack of education. So, you know, we have it good. We have the internet at our fingertips at this moment, you know, so I can hop online and get proper schooling for my kids, and we can watch things together and spend family time together and be happy, you know. And I think it helps a lot that we really just love the Lord and we really try to live our life for God. And you know, that's not for everyone, and not everyone chooses that path, and that's okay. We all have the right to choose whatever we want to follow, or if we don't want to follow, but it really just brings us closer as a family when we get together every night and we pray and before meals, and it just constantly reminds us how thankful we are and how far we've come in life. You know, my husband and I haven't always had the greatest of marriages. If you've watched one of my other videos, I briefly went into that, but I'm really thankful that God has taken us on the journey that he has, and not everything has gone the way that he has planned, but he has definitely turned it into something awesome. Even though we've totally screwed it up, sometimes he just seems to always turn it into something really amazing in the end. So we're really thankful for that. But that's just my tip on how to stay sane when you're living in an RV with little kids or kids at all, and your husband, is just to really get out and have your own space and have your own me time. I try to have me time daily. Actually, I do get me time daily. It's just sometimes I need it earlier than I usually get it. My kids have a bedtime of 6. My youngest goes to bed at 6, and then my oldest goes to bed at 6:30. So then after that, it's husband and wife time, and then after that, it's just me time, because lately my husband's been going to bed pretty early because he's just tired. So we get together and we talk about the day, and we have good conversations, and sometimes we just kind of goof off and act like teenagers, which is healthy, so it's fun. And then I just have me time after that, so it's really good. It's rejuvenating. It gets me pumped for the next morning. It keeps everyone in a good mood, and we're just really thankful for that and how far we've come. So I think that's about it that I just want to talk about. So keep a smile on your face and remind yourself to look around, because a lot of people don't have it as good as you. So we may have a really old trailer and not a lot of things that everyone else has, but we have what we need, and we're really content and very happy with it. It brings our family closer. So that's all, YouTubers. If you're gonna be a full-time RVer, stay positive. See you later.